Or is this full-time MMA now?
I love full-time MMA right now.
Back to the daily grind, and shout out to the full-time patrons. Make sure to hit subscribe if you're new and hit thumbs up if you're not a baby back bagel biting bitch boy, cause you know what time it is. It's full-time
MMA.
What is up, full-time family? Top of the morning to you. It's 5:04 a.m. where I'm at, and I just got done breaking down these main card fights for UFC Calgary. So we're gonna jump straight into that. It's a 4-fight main card. You can see the headliner is gonna be Eddie Alvarez versus Dustin Poirier. Holy smokes, but this whole main card is stacked. We got Jose Aldo versus Jeremy Stephens in the co-main event. Former champion Joanna Jedrzejczyk taking on Torres, or should I say Joanna Contender. This is really the first non-title fight we've seen Joanna Jedrzejczyk in a while. But of course, we've got the Canadian gangster taking on the newcomer Alex Hernandez, who made a very impressive UFC debut against Beneil Dariush with that first round knockout. But just looking at the main event and the co-main event real quick, I can't help but feel like this card is kind of in the shadow of Conor McGregor. Let me explain. Eddie Alvarez is who Conor McGregor took the lightweight belt from. Jose Aldo is who Conor McGregor took the featherweight belt from. Jeremy Stephens is that guy. You know the answer to the question? Who the fuck is that guy? It's Jeremy Stephens. So Conor McGregor has had some pretty iconic moments with 3 of the 4 fighters in the main and co-main events. So I couldn't help but think about Conor McGregor as I was breaking down this card. Pause. But with that being said, we're going to jump straight into the first fight of the night. Olivier Aubin Mercier versus Alexander Hernandez. Holy shit, man. This was probably the hardest fight for me to call, aside from maybe Aldo versus Stephens on this main card, because both of these guys, holy shit, did they look impressive in their last fight. Now, when I first went into the breakdown, before I did all of my research and really considered it, I kind of thought I was going to be picking Olivier Aubin Mercier in this fight. He is the Canadian gangster. The card is in Canada. That should definitely help him if this fight goes to a split decision, right? Or even a close decision. But with that being said, I'm telling you guys, man, there's a lot of people I feel like that are probably asleep on Alex Hernandez, even after he tried to wake you up with that first round knockout over Beneil Dariush. But Alexander Hernandez, man, he's not just here to take part, in the words of Conor McGregor. He's actually here to take over. Alex Hernandez, even after his win with Beneil Dariush, his UFC debut on short notice, when you might have felt like he would have been ecstatic or, you know, just beyond excited, like, oh my God, I just won my UFC debut on short notice. I got a first round knockout. This is everything I've ever dreamed of. But he was cool, calm, and composed after his fight. Like, nah, man, this is everything we planned. He said, I almost feel like this is manifested. You know, we've got our training down to a science, our weight cutting down to a decimal point. And I'm not here just to win this fight. I'm here to take this whole division by storm. I'm here to conquer. So this motherfucker is on a warpath, if I might say. And now with that being said, Olivier Aubin Mercier is a stud wrestler that can also knock you out, as we saw in his last fight with Evan Dunham. But also he's got some submission wins, so he's very well rounded. With that being said, Olivier Aubin Mercier has more UFC experience than Alexander Hernandez, who did win that short notice fight against Beneil Dariush, but that was his first UFC fight. So this is a super tough fight to call, because Alexander Hernandez, he was not fighting cans outside of the UFC. You know, some guys that make their UFC debut, they're fighting guys outside the UFC that you feel like are probably not on the UFC's level. They're not UFC caliber. Their records, you know, might be like 10-10. You know, they might have 500 records or whatever the case is. But if you look at Alex Hernandez's opponents, he was actually fighting guys that might have been like 12-4, you know, 12-3. Like, he was actually fighting guys with winning records, so they had something to lose. It wasn't just gimme fights by any means. But Alexander Hernandez is very talented. He's also a strong wrestler. A lot of people felt like before his UFC debut, he was a one-dimensional wrestler, but I think he showed everybody he's definitely got knockout power in that fight. Also, I believe he's training out of the training lab with TJ Dillashaw and those guys, so he's got a legit fight team behind him for sure. But this is still almost 50-50, because Olivier Albin Mercier, man, I really didn't think I was going to be picking against him in this fight. It's really tough for me to pick against the Canadian gangster, who's a very well-rounded fighter coming off of a very impressive performance in Calgary. It's hard for me to pick against OAM here, but I'm telling you now, Alex Hernandez is not just some fly-by-night joke that made his UFC debut against Beneil Dariush. He's very talented. He's going to be very tough. Even if Alexander Hernandez loses this fight, he's only 25 years old. He's still got room to grow and into a better fighter, which that might be the case here. Maybe he does come in here and lose this fight to Olivier Albin Mercier. You know, maybe it's a close decision and maybe the judges give the nod to the Canadian fighter. But Alexander Hernandez, I'm telling you, he's definitely got the skills to win this fight. He's got the potential. He can knock you out, and also his wrestling is probably going to be better than a lot of the guys OAM has been fighting as of late. OAM hasn't been the most active, you know what I'm saying, in these last few years. He's been around with the UFC for a while, but at the same time, he's still a fucking stud. Olivier Albin Mercier's got solid wrestling, jiu-jitsu, and striking, very well-rounded, everything you need to be a great MMA fighter. Now, with that being said, he hasn't been beating everybody in the UFC, right? Olivier Albin Mercier has 9 fights in the UFC, and he just cracked the top 15. So it's not like he's been just running through the top 15 guys in the UFC, just beating up the best fighters in the world, but he's still been fighting in the UFC. Now, with that being said, Alexander Hernandez was a lot younger when OAM started fighting in the UFC, so that's, you know, kind of why Alex Hernandez hasn't been in the UFC before this. But before he got the call to fight Beneil Dariush, he actually had a fight scheduled. And he was saying before that fight, like, you know, it looks like I got to get another fight in, but I'm just waiting on the call from Dana. So this guy definitely was going to be in the UFC sooner or later. It just so happened he got the call whenever a fight fell out, and he took that opportunity to step up, get his UFC contract, fight a very tough fighter, Beneil Dariush, on short notice, and he got the fucking win. So that's a huge, you know, feather under Alex Hernandez's cap as he looks to get his second UFC win. But it's going to be very tough against Olivier Albin Mercier. If you're picking OAM, you're probably, you know, that's probably the popular pick, especially this card being in Canada. So I'm not mad at you if you pick OAM. I definitely understand it. But I think a lot of people are asleep on Alex Hernandez, and I think he's got the potential to come in here and really put himself on the map. So I'm actually going to pick Alex Hernandez to get the win in this fight, but this is a tough fight to call, man. Olivier Albin Mercier, the Canadian gangster, just knocked out, he fought somebody on short notice as well, Evan Dunham, I believe. He stepped up in place of Maribek Taisimov at UFC 223, and Olivier Albin Mercier knocked out Evan Dunham. So, I mean, both of these guys are coming off of first-round knockouts, very impressive performances, but I think Alex Hernandez is going to let people know who the hell he is coming into this fight, if you already didn't know. But yeah, man, it is what it is. If he loses this fight, he's got room to grow, and I guarantee you Alex Hernandez is here to stay. I'm talking about the UFC. This motherfucker is a killer, and I'm talking about like stone cold killer. He's not a dude that's going to ever get over emotional. I'm talking, you can like see this kid's work ethic in just how he talks. You know what I'm saying? Like just his demeanor, you can tell this motherfucker is a savage. I'm telling you. So I really fuck with Alexander Hernandez, and I'm picking him to get the win. Moving on to Joanna Contender versus Tecia Torres. Holy smokes. It is no longer Joanna champion. Man, this is a good fight. This fight actually has title implications, at least for Tecia Torres. She's 1-1 with the current champion Rose Namajunas, and if she can beat the #1 contender and former champion Joanna Jedrzejczyk, Tecia Torres immediately throws herself into title contention. Now, will she get the shot over Jessica Andrade? It's not likely, but she's up there in contention. If Rose Namajunas is just looking for the biggest fight, she might, or even the lowest risk, you know what I'm saying? I'm sure if you had to choose, who would you rather your sister fight? Would you pick Tecia Torres or Jessica Andrade? I'm just saying, you're probably going to pick Tecia Torres. Now, I'm not going to put that on Rose Namajunas. That's why I brought your sister into this, and you might not have a sister. This is just anybody listening. I'm just saying, man, ego aside, who is the fight you would rather take? Who's the easier fight out of Jessica Andrade and Tecia Torres? And now, no fights are easy. I'm not being disrespectful. I'm just saying, motherfucker, if Tecia Torres wins, she might skip Jessica Andrade. You know how politics go. Now, I don't think that's the case because Tecia Torres' last fight was actually to Jessica Andrade in a fight that she lost. Jessica Andrade just came off of ragdolling one of the best grapplers in the strawweight division, Claudia Gadelha. Now she's fighting Karolina Kowalkiewicz at UFC 228. So it's going to be hard to get that title shot from Jessica Andrade, you know what I'm saying? But with that being said, this is the UFC, and Tecia Torres is 1-1 with the current champion. So I would not be shocked if Tecia Torres won this fight. Actually, I would be shocked if she won this fight. But if she did win the fight, I would not be shocked if she actually jumped the queue to get the next title shot. She is beating the #1 contender and former champion, and also that's a trilogy fight with the current champion Rose Namajunas. And it's a trilogy. If people want to see trilogies, not even, you know, that just adds to the fight. But with that being said, man, Mini Cyborg, I'm sure she'll have something to say about that. And, you know, there's a few dominoes that would actually have to fall into place for Tecia Torres to get the next title shot, but it is in play. If Tecia Torres beats Joanna and Jessica Andrade loses to Karolina, oh, well, then it's a guarantee for sure Tecia Torres gets the next title shot. She would be the clear-cut #1 contender if Jessica lost, but that's literally the two least likely outcomes for Tecia Torres just to beat Joanna Jedrzejczyk in this fight. I feel like Joanna Jedrzejczyk's gonna have to come in at like 30% from a terrible weight cut, and even then, you know, Tecia Torres is gonna have to beat Joanna Jedrzejczyk for 3 rounds, because Tecia Torres, out of her 10 wins, I believe only one of those fights was a finish, and it was against Juliana Lima. It was a submission. So with that being said, Tecia Torres hasn't really ever knocked anyone out or TKO'd anybody coming into this fight, so that kind of takes away that path to victory, unless Joanna Jedrzejczyk, like, you know, is drained and comes into this fight a shell of herself. But other than that, man, I see the only way Tecia Torres winning this fight is via submission. But even then, you're gonna have to get Joanna to the mat, which Jessica Andrade had a hard time doing. I mean, so this fight is an uphill battle for Tecia Torres for sure. Joanna Jedrzejczyk, even though she's coming off of those 2 losses to Rose Namajunas, she was the strawweight queen for a long time for a reason, because she was the best fighter in the division. And so with that being said, we'll see what happens. This is going to be the biggest fight of Tecia Torres' life for sure, because not only is it against the former champion, but if she wins, she's trying to put herself in line for that title shot. So we'll see what happens, but I'm definitely taking Joanna Jedrzejczyk to win this fight. Moving on to the co-main event, though, we've got Jeremy Stephens versus Jose Aldo. Oh shit, family! This is my actually on the main card. Well, yeah, no. I was gonna say this is my fight of the night, but I'm not gonna lie. Poirier versus Alvarez is just a fucking amazing fight, and I want to see that rematch. But other than Poirier Alvarez, man, Stephens Aldo is that fight I'm ready to see, man. This whole main card is amazing, but holy smokes, Jose Aldo, the former featherweight kingpin, you know what I'm saying, for years before Conor McGregor came and had something to say about that, taking on Jeremy Stephens, the little heathen, who is riding a 3-fight winning streak. Holy shit, man, this is a great fight. But let's get into it. As crazy as it sounds, man, I really feel like Jeremy Stephens has entered his prime as he fights former featherweight kingpin Jose Aldo for his first crack at UFC Gold. So I think it's pretty safe to say that this is the biggest fight of Jeremy Stephens' life. If he wins this fight, he's for sure in line for the next title shot. You know, he could be fighting for the title next if he wins this fight. You know, Max Holloway's not healthy right now. He's been pulled out of 2 fight cards with injuries, different injuries. So depending on Max Holloway's diagnosis and how long he's going to be out for, the UFC could be looking for an interim title fight, or even if Max Holloway gets stripped, an undisputed title fight that's going to need 2 people. So while Brian Ortega is probably going to be in one corner, we're still looking for the guy who would be fighting Brian Ortega if Max Holloway was unhealthy. That's very likely Jeremy Stephens, as he already got the call to face Brian Ortega when Max Holloway pulled out, but Brian Ortega didn't stay on the card. So with a win here, Jeremy Stephens could for sure be looking at a title fight. Now, with that being said, Jose Aldo has lost 3 of his last 4 fights, but the losses came to the best featherweights in the world, Conor McGregor and Max Holloway twice. Since then, Jose Aldo hasn't been super active. You can imagine he's probably been spending some of that Conor McGregor money, or just some of the money he earned in his years of being the champion, but really that Conor McGregor money. But he was finished in all 3 of his losses in his last 4 fights, with his only win being a close decision win over Frankie Edgar. And now on the other hand, you've got Jeremy Stephens, who's coming into this fight on a 3-fight winning streak. In 2 of his most recent performances, he had a knockout over Josh Emmett, and also his KO over the Korean Superboy Doo Ho Choi. So I'm actually going to give the edge to the hungrier, more experienced, and active Jeremy Stephens, who, believe it or not, is older than Jose Aldo. Coming into this fight, like, I wasn't just, guessing these guys' age, but Jose Aldo, as long as his reign was over the featherweight division, I didn't really expect Jeremy Stephens to be 1 year older. They're really close in age, but I just, looking at Aldo and thinking about his reign, he just seems like he's older than 31 years old, but he's not. So, hey, it is what it is. That's a good thing for Aldo, right? But yeah, man, I'm going to give the nod to Jeremy Stephens, who not only has he been a little more active, but also he's riding a 3-fight winning streak with wins over Gilbert Melendez, Doo Ho Choi, and Josh Emmett. And while none of those guys are probably on Jose Aldo's level, at least the Jose Aldo we're thinking of, we don't really know for sure where Jose Aldo is at in his fighting career anymore. Some people feel like Jose Aldo hasn't been the same fighter since USADA, which actually started in the UFC a few months before he fought Conor McGregor. So maybe there is something to that, but even if it wasn't due to USADA, I think it's fair to say the Jose Aldo of today is not the same Jose Aldo that was reigning over the featherweight division from 2009 till 2014. Jeremy Stephens has KO'd both of his most recent opponents coming into this fight. Jose Aldo was KO'd in his 2 most recent performances. Now, that doesn't mean anything because MMA math doesn't work that way, but I'm just saying Jeremy Stephens is more hungrier and he's riding a win streak, and he's also looking a lot more dangerous these days. We'll see if, his 3 wins over Stephens, Doo Ho Choi, and Gilbert Melendez translate into Jeremy Stephens being one of the best featherweights in the world. Actually, if that's what we've been seeing this whole time, that's a very real possibility. But with a win here over Jose Aldo, I feel like Jeremy Stephens will for sure make his case to fight for that belt and prove that he's one of the best featherweights in the world. So I'm giving the edge to Jeremy Stephens, but this one was really close for me. We'll see what happens, man. Gonna be a great fight. Moving to the main event of the evening, the number 3 ranked lightweight in the world, Eddie Alvarez, taking on the number 4 ranked lightweight in the world, Dustin Poirier. Dustin Poirier is low-key emerging as not only one of the best lightweights in the world, but also one of my personal favorite fighters. He's 7-1-1 in his last 9 fights, riding a 2-fight winning streak over former champion Anthony Pettis and also the wrecking ball human highlight Justin Gaethje. Since that no contest loss to Eddie Alvarez, Dustin Poirier's been trying to get that back, but he hasn't been able to, so he's had to fight those 2 fights in the meantime. So I'm for sure going to give this fight to Dustin Poirier. I'm giving the win to Poirier. I feel like he was actually winning that first fight before that controversial ending and the illegal knee. But on top of that, Dustin Poirier is the younger, hungrier fighter, still looking to touch that lightweight title after years of kicking ass and taking names. Dustin Poirier hasn't had any easy fights since losing to Conor McGregor way back in 2014, and he looked better than ever in his last 2 fights with Anthony Pettis and Justin Gaethje. But now he'll be looking to get closer to the title shot with the win here over Eddie Alvarez that he's kind of already earned. I mean, if you remember, Khabib, after he won the belt, and his team, they were saying Dustin Poirier's next. If Conor McGregor doesn't get his shit together and come back, if Tony Ferguson is injured, Khabib's team said that they would like to fight Dustin Poirier whenever they get back. And so he's a guy that really already could be fighting for the title. But we're in the lightweight division, which is log jammed up. We got Khabib at the top doing Ramadan. We got Conor McGregor doing his thing, potentially coming back to fight for the title. So we've got like 3 #1 contenders right now. I mean, Eddie Alvarez, Dustin Poirier, and of course, don't forget about the injured Tony Ferguson, which is actually low-key bullshit because even if Dustin Poirier wins this fight over Eddie Alvarez, he's not guaranteed a title shot. He's either going to have to wait around for a title shot that he's deserved or that he's earned, or he's going to have to fight Tony Ferguson, for the next #1 contender fight. This is already a #1 contender fight, but there's so many contenders with this log-jam division, it's not really. It's literally the number 3 versus the number 4 contender, and the winner just like stays at number 3, or maybe they move up to number 2. You know what I'm saying? It's a fucked up situation we got going on here in this lightweight division. But either way, I'm picking my dog, Dustin Poirier, Diamond Poirier, to get the win here over Eddie Alvarez in what I believe is going to be a great night of fights leading all the way up from the Fight Pass prelims. We got some great fights at UFC Calgary. This is Dana White's birthday card. He said he feels like he owes Canada one. and so that's likely part of the reason that this card is so stacked. But yeah, man, with that being said, it is what it is. Those are my predictions. And for everybody still here, bada boom, you guys know what's coming. We got 2 days left on this offer. Yank My Dandy Doodle will match all donations made to the full-time startup within the next week, or should I say the next 2 days, plus 100. Holy smokes, get off your asses, full-time family. He says, let's do this. Up to 1,000. That is a huge opportunity for this channel. This is going to be the last predictions we do while this offer is still going. So if you haven't yet, there's 2 days left. If you're part of the full-time family, fuck with your boy. Now, if you're as broke as me, I completely understand. Disregard this message because I don't want to take any money away from anyone's family, anybody's bills, or anything that you might need to pay for in this motherfucking crazy world where we all need a dollar. But if you do have a spare dollar, if you're just going to be going to the motherfucking strip club this weekend or buying some motherfucking drugs to party with or just tricking off your money in some way, you know, tipping the bartender way too motherfucking much, whatever you're going to be doing with your money that's not necessary, all I'm saying is fuck with your boy as I'm trying to live my dream out here, you know what I'm saying? And that sounds cringy, but it's on some real shit. We started this channel about a year and a half ago if you start with the first channel that got flagged down. But man, we've been grinding. We've got so much more potential, so much more stuff we can do, and just, you know, so much opportunity with this channel that I didn't have a year and a half ago. You know what I'm saying? So this channel is literally like my fucking new life. And with that being said, some of you who have been here have seen I've been putting out videos literally every single day. I made it a mission. Every 24 hours, if you go back, there has been at least one video, if not fucking 10, every single day. Every holiday, Christmas, birthdays, motherfucking Easter, Thanksgiving, every single day we put out content, and that's going to continue as long as I can help it. So whether you donate or not, subscribe, because this is the best MMA channel on YouTube, and we're going to keep you entertained every single motherfucking day for 2018, probably 2019, and 2020 when Kayla Harrison takes out Cyborg. But that's another topic for another day. Make sure you guys hit that motherfucking subscribe button, the bell next to it so you're notified every time I upload a video, and check the video description for the full-time MMA startup fund. We got 2 days left, and Yank My Dandy Doodle will match every single dollar you donate. That's almost like doubling your money. You know, if you're donating 10 to the channel, boom, that's 20 because Yank My Dandy Doodle's matching you. So if you want to double your money, donate to your boy. With that being said, it is what it is. Let the full-time family know what you think in the comments. We out.
Da 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 da. It's the motherfucking DOG.